We are now in the month of November, and this month we are expecting some exciting matchups. And as the year begins to close out and things of old begin to go away, like Showtime Championship Boxing, we'll get to see one more quality matchup as the year closes out when Benavidez goes up against Demetrius Andrade. This fight is a very good matchup between men who are competing at the 168-pound division, and we just don't know what to expect when they face each other coming up this month. Let's talk about these two facing off a little more. Boxing in 2023 continues to go forward with excitement and quality matchups that we crave as we tune in for the sport. And it'll be no different come November 25th, when live on Showtime pay-per-view, Benavidez takes on Demetrius Andrade. This is a fight that we can look forward to and rejoice in the fact that two quality 168-pounders will come together for an opportunity to have a shot at the undisputed title at some time in 2024. These two men have been on the fringe of big fights for a while now. Though Benavidez has always been campaigning at 168, we've seen Demetrius Andrade grow through the sport of boxing, starting off at 154 pounds through 160, and now finally venturing up to super middleweight. All in all, these two men are looking to take on Canelo Alvarez for different reasons. Andrade has been facing the prospects of a showdown against Canelo going all the way back to his 154-pound days. But Benavidez, who rightfully had ownership of the WBC 168-pound title and was stripped of it, and saw Canelo swoop in to grab that title and become the undisputed champion at that division without facing him, has been campaigning ever since for the right for the fight. Now, when you talk about these two men, what's happening is an amazing situation between the two that will see them opposing one another with numerous considerations at hand. First of all, Benavidez seemingly been around for a bit, and his record of 27-0 with 23 KOs. It makes it appear that he's been a veteran around town, but that's not the case. Benavidez is only 26 years of age, and he's an orthodox fighter, a pressure fighter who has developed the nickname the Mexican assassin. But when you look at across the ring from him and you're looking at Demetrius Andrade, Andrade is going to enter this fight with his record of 32-0 and 19 KOs. Andrade is 35 years of age. That's getting a little long in the tooth in this sport. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 74.5-inch reach. Andrade is 6 feet with a 73.5-inch reach. Benavidez is an orthodox fighter who's a puncher, but not a one-punch knockout puncher. He's the type of fighter that wears you down with a succession of shots, high pressure, and high work rate. Demetrius Andrade, the southpaw, is a boxer puncher. He can give great angles and move when he wants. His defense is not bad. And he has the type of pop on his punches that if you underestimate him, you'll find yourself on the canvas. He's not a bloodthirsty fighter, so he doesn't go for the KO, but that doesn't mean he can't get people out of there. In this fight, what's going to be interesting is, will his legs hold up over the 12-round scheduled distance with the type of pressure fighter that Benavidez happens to be? Benavidez paints the image of a much bigger fighter in there, a lot like Gilberto Ramirez. But he's a lot different from Ramirez in how he applies his trade. When he comes in, he will follow you around, he will cut the ring. He will just apply the pressure, and he will look to outwork you with the activity that he brings. Demetrius Andrade has kind of had the reputation for not being the most intense fighter. He sometimes is aloof. You don't know if he really wants it as bad as you might think, or is he just, kind of hiding or masking what's really under the surface. On this night, these two men will ask the type of questions of one another that you want to see out of fighters at the top level of their sport and divisions. The fact that this is an orthodox versus southpaw type matchup, the fact that this is a boxer puncher against a man who is a pressure fighter whom we haven't seen be consistently put on the back foot and have to box. There are other question marks about these two men. One of them happens to be the type of opposition that they faced. Now, when you look at Benavidez, over his last 6 fights, there have been names that have assisted in his growth and maturation as he's continued his career. His last fight was against Caleb Plant in March of this year, where he won a unanimous decision. Now, Plant happens to be a southpaw fighter himself, more of a boxer, less of a puncher than Andrade, but his skill set is still on a high level. Prior to that was a May 2020 TKO of David Lemieux, who at one time was a tremendous puncher in the middleweight division. But the fact that Benavidez took him out so quickly spoke volumes alone about where Benavidez was going, because Lemieux was a veteran fighter. But there is one other fight where he won, and this goes all the way back to September of 2019 when he defeated Anthony Durrell. When he stopped Durrell on a bad cut over Durrell's eye, Durrell was in there challenging him in a way that he hadn't been challenged prior. But Durrell had the type of experience and was a veteran fighter that gave the younger Benavidez something that wasn't there prior to meeting. Now, when we flip over to Demetrius Andrade's last 6 fights, no name stands out as far as having put him in a position to be prepared for what he's going to face in Benavidez. And that's where my concern is. I am never worried about Demetrius Andrade's ability to box and to pick his shots and utilize ring generalship. But at the age of 35, having fought no one of the ilk of Benavidez over his last 6 fights, you kind of wonder what will happen here. If he is in tip-top condition, looking to have his breakout type fight, even at the later age of 35, because he was supposed to have faced a few other fighters throughout his career, and the deals were never made. Yes, it's easy to clamor that he is such a good boxer, and being a southpaw, that fighters just steered away from him. But that's an easy thing to say, harder to prove. He's made some poor business decisions in his career, and that has attributed also to the lack of quality fights. Canelo called him a horrible fighter whom he doesn't want to fight. Also said Andrade has fought nobody, but the first somebody that gives him the opportunity will sit in the seat of whether or not he deserves the opportunity, and that will come on November 25th against Benavidez. Now again, getting back to styles, I do believe that Benavidez is either going to bring the best out of Demetrius Andrade, or he's going to overwhelm Demetrius Andrade. Mental strength in this sport throughout his career has never been something to be challenged for Andrade, unless it's just getting motivated for a fight. But now he's in there against somebody that once the bell rings is going to come after him. And if there's any weakness that he shows, Benavidez is going to take advantage of that. What I can see is Demetrius coming out and attacking David early, something that David may or may not be prepared for. And if he does that and puts David on the defensive, we have a different type of fight. And will he be able to sustain that type of approach? All in all, this is a pretty darn good fight between these two men. And though it's easy to favor the boxer in this situation, don't count out the youth and the exuberance of a fighter who is motivated to prove himself, like David Benavidez. But then again, Andrade wants to prove himself as well, because Andrade, like I said, has been not considered by the other top names in the sport, and this would finally be his opportunity to make the grade. I consider it a coin flip, that close, because What can't be measured are the intangibles. What's really on display won't tell the story. It's the thing that is not on display. And that's the character of the individual, one's personal motivations and desires. And that will always carry a fighter through in the sport of boxing. It hasn't stopped, nor should it. But what do you think? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know what your thoughts are about this particular fight and these two men who may be highly motivated to give Showtime Championship pay-per-view boxing a tremendous send-off. Let me know what your thoughts are. And until then, peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.